Okay, listen. I realize that I'm pretty much answering my own video, but that's because some of the comments I got were pretty silly. Of course, it's always, it's always that the atheist agenda thing, the thing about how we got some kind of a plan to take over the world or something. And as much as I wish that were true, because we very well could, uh, we just see that's just it. Atheism is something that's just it's a label that you all gave us. We don't care because we don't have any theism. Period. There's just no theism, so we can't really be against theism. The point is, we don't believe in gods, mystical, magical creatures, and all that other stuff. And y'all keep trying to. You come at us from a point of view that see you believe it so strongly that you expect everyone else believes it. And so when you threaten us with retribution and fire and brimstone and damnation forever, it doesn't bother us. Okay, it's not something we worry about because it's a bunch of mythological crud. You understand that? You have to come up with something that has a rational basis for it, that can honestly affect our lives. Honestly affect our lives in some way, or our bodies somehow. That's the only way. I mean, y'all brag about God can do this, God can do that, and He's omnipotent, omniscient, and He's going to do this to you when you die if you don't say this or that, if you don't believe me, and that. You say all these things. Your Bible says all these things, but yet none of it ever happens. I've never seen a miracle. And what you people call a miracle are just probably some kind of an anomaly or something. Whatever it is, Yeah, and, like, if you saw a UFO, you would probably immediately get on your knees and think it's an angel or something, like Ezekiel did. Remember Ezekiel in the Bible? With the wheels within wheels and the sound of many water, a lot of water, the sound of many waterfalls or something like that. What he said. Straight legs, feet, like the calf's hoof made of burnished brass, possibly. Sounds like those gold-covered pads for the lander. I mean, come on. He's... No, I didn't say that... Listen, I didn't say I believe any certain thing about this. I'm talking about the different beliefs that are out there. Other people believe and understand. Now, the thing about the UFO deal, the thing about the alien thing is mankind, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago were pretty superstitious. You have to admit that. They were so superstitious, as a matter of fact, they anthropomorphized and personified everything because they think it needs to have some kind of a force, a life force, or some kind of a life or something in order to affect us. I don't know why they did that, but that's what they did. It made it easier for them to understand things. For instance, the constellations, they named them after animals and people and festival or whatever. Like you got Aquarius, water bearer, right? Pisces, which is the fish. Yeah. Okay, all that. It's all Geminis, twins, right? Two Geminis. All of that mankind came up with thousands of years ago, even before the Jesus thing. But then you take the Messiah myth in itself. It is even derived from one of the major constellations that we see all day, every night, Orion. Orion's belt is made up of stars. There's 3 major stars you go across. It's Orion's belt. Those 3 stars are called the 3 kings. They have been forever. And now if you follow them in a straight line, those 3 kings follow the brightest star in the east, Sirius. Well, they point to it, okay? And the way mankind was that long ago, you can imagine how he thought when he was saying, oh, he personified everything, so everything has some kind of an animal or something behind it, right? So, that star Sirius is the brightest star in the east. Every night, especially during winter solstice. Now, excuse me, I have to take a sip of the dew because I'm having a bit of a dry mouth. Now, if you draw a line Right through the belt of Orion, the three kings that follow the bright star in the east, Sirius, draw a line right through that, and right down straight towards where? It hits the horizon. That line hits the horizon, the very spot where the sun rises on the winter solstice. So you got three kings following the brightest star in the east, heralding the rising of the sun, the birth of the sun. Yeah, it's when the days start getting longer. Winter solstice is that time when the sun seems to stand still, which is what stis means, solstice. And it sits. It seems to sit, but it doesn't really. It's just the way the rotation is going, of course. And we know the astronomy of it now. Not astrology, astronomy of it, okay? The actual mechanism, mechanics of planetary motion, okay? Planetary mechanics. So that's exactly where the sun comes back up and the days start getting longer on the winter solstice, about December 21st to the 25th, right around there. And who else was heralded then? Brightest star in the east, followed by three kings. It's funny because that myth itself has been going on for way thousands of years, 4 or 5 anyway. It started in Egypt, which is why we have the name Horizon. It is actually derived from Horus and his son. Horus' son, Horizon. Horus's son. Horus, the Egyptian god, sun god, and his son, Set. He's the god of the moon, I guess. So we got sun Set. Horus's son, Horizon, goes after Set, his son. Get it? And it's just all messed up, but that's where it all came from. Especially this Jesus myth. It's the same exact thing. It's just reworked a little for a different group of people. The Jews just modified it so these other people could also join in. I guess, I don't know. And then they all sat around a table, all these old rabbis, and said, well, Abraham gave up a piece of his son's penis. Don't you think we should all do that, like you said? I mean, you know, everybody should. They actually decided that Abraham was really hearing a God. And, you know, he's hearing voices, and the voices tell him to cut off his son's, mutilate his son's penis. And he thinks it's God, so he believes it and does it. Not only does he do it, everybody else in the world is so delusional at that time, they all believe him, that God told him to do it. And so he said, well, if you really want to have a covenant with God, you have to cut off your, well, okay, you have to mutilate your penis. Excuse me? See what I mean? It's all just ignorant, foolish, fairy tale, mythological crap they try to throw down people's throats instead of just sending them to school and teaching some real science and stuff. So they know why all this stuff is going on. I'm signing off. That's my answer to my answer. Good night. You know who I am. I'm Gerald Reynolds, and this is Portland, Oregon. Afternoon.